I know today the Avalanche go for 11 in a row.
Wild.
Wagon.
This kind of feels, I said, is this going to be like Boston a few years ago when they set that regular season record? We know how that ended in round one, but it's their world and we're living in it right now.
Feels that way. I mean, there's some good stories around the league, particularly in the Western Conference, right? Just with the way that these teams are racking up the victories. But Colorado is apparently going to go wire to wire. And you look at that roster, and provided they can stay healthy, I mean, they've dealt with some stuff, but I'm talking about the big boys. Obviously, McKinnon and Makar. I didn't know what to expect from Gabe Landeskog coming back into the mix, but I don't think that we can underestimate the value. Just his presence, right? And when he was out for that long term, he was always around the team. But you guys know, I mean, you can be around the team, but you're not part of the team unless you're in the room and you're in the lineup. You're about to be in the lineup. And now that he's healthy, what a story he is. And it's not about the level of production. It's just about having a dude like that around. He just exudes class and presence and leadership. And I honestly, I know that sounds a little bit over the top. And how much does that mean? When you've got a thoroughbred horse like Nathan McKinnon, every once in a while you gotta pull in the reins because he gets hot. We've seen him run hot on the bench. Never afraid to spar with Jared Bednar. All of that stuff. Give his line mates an earful when they need an earful. Okay, that's all great because he produces. I mean, this guy's world class. He's a superstar. But I wonder if having Landeskog back into the mix on a full-time basis, 24 hours a day, is in part anyway how this group just seems to be on a heater, just a flat-out heater. From the crease out, they're top-notch.
Because he runs hot, like you say, he runs hot, whether it's handling media, handling the coach, just taking some of that. Because without him,
even the dressing room,
like it's awesome. McKinnon's.
It's awesome to run hot, but I'm not saying that he overdoes it. But if you can't keep up with them, that doesn't mean that you're not trying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. Like he's an exception to the rule here a little bit. Where it's like if he's pulling on the rope too hard, a guy like Landeskog can create a little buffer for the rest of the team to go, oh, okay, we can breathe and relax, and Nate can still do his thing, but we're not getting ripped for not trying to keep up to him.
What do you think about how they've made that pivot? Because a year ago it was Rantanen, and then they lost that deal, and then you know what? Well, Nate he's not as good. Well, maybe he is as good, and they signed him. I was a little unsure just because we heard a lot, maybe a little bit flaky, Marty Natchez, but what a great spot for him to land in, and it's worked incredibly well. I didn't know it was going to go this well, at least so far, for Colorado after saying goodbye to Rantanen.
No way you could predict that was going to happen. That hasn't changed the type of player that Mikko Rantanen is, or his influence or impact with the Dallas Stars. But there was a lot of developing drama around Marty Natchez too, right? His dad was chirping every once in a while, and it was just stuff that you can't have at the National Hockey League level. So I wouldn't say that tarnished Natchez, but he had to find a way to make that non-distraction and focus on what he needs to be, which is what he is. I mean, this guy is just an offensive weapon. And, guys can get hungry when they're chasing a big contract. We see that on an annual basis, right? You're pending unrestricted free agents who just find a way. And then they sign the big ticket and maybe they take their foot off the pedal a little bit. Well, Natchez hasn't done that. Not even a little bit since he got his contract extension. So, I mean, it's an excellent point, Boomer, in that, the architect of all of this is obvious, and that's management of the Colorado Avalanche. You think that was an easy call to say, you know what, Mikko, we don't have you penciled in at a $12.5 million player. We don't. And we got to keep our powder dry because we've got Cale Makar coming here. So they made a real difficult organizational pivot, right? They did. And then, they addressed their entire goaltending on the fly. Who does that?
Yeah, both guys in 2 weeks for like minimal assets and spare parts.
Yeah. And now granted, Noodles pointed this out the other day on Overdrive. Maybe he's talked to you guys about this. We do have to remind that So those guys come in, and it's not like the Avalanche, just absolutely lightning in a bottle in the way they went last year. And they got bounced in the first round, right? So the goaltending didn't do much for them last year. But now we're talking about certainly Wedgwood. He's legitimately in contention to be one of 3 of Canada's goalies at the Olympics in Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, so when you make organizational shifts like they made last year, you're not just obviously looking at the short-term benefits, you're looking at the long-term benefits. So they didn't expect to get bounced the way they did a year ago or less than a year ago in the playoffs, but certainly hasn't hampered them. They're not dwelling on what didn't happen. They're looking at this year and saying, no, we got this. I mean, they're top contenders statistically, obviously, but it's them and then the rest of the field for me. And that's saying a lot because there's some pretty good clubs.
Hey, buddies, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.